Hey, a lot of you seem to like my last video where I showed the development of my first OC throughout the years, so I thought I'd make another one. This character is in the same story as the last, so this video might make more sense if you watch the other one too, so I'll put a link in the description. This video is about my character Bailey Sight, but before she was Bailey Sight, she was my Adventure Time OC, Hobo Princess. I mean, we all start somewhere, right? Right? This was when I first discovered Tumblr about 5 years ago and ruined my life, and I was an Adventure Time blog at first. Well, I saw that there were all these ass blogs about these made-up princesses that didn't actually exist in the show, and that was my first time experiencing anything like that. I missed the Onceler shit. So, of course, I immediately hopped on and made the worst possible thing. You see this drawing on the left? That's me trying to do Adventure Time's art style. Ugh. I couldn't leave Hobo Princess at that, of course. I had to add some dramatic and gay as hell backstory to her. Here it is. It's gonna be a while, but right when the Mushroom War was beginning in Adventure Time, Hobo Princess was a young girl named Hope Price who lived in an orphanage that was pretty run down and led by people who only cared about the kids that they liked the most. Hope learned how to live on her own by stealing food rations and hiding out in cabinets or whatever for the most part. Then one day, this new girl enters the orphanage. Her name is Maya, and she's this sweet little girl who everyone immediately decides she needs to be destroyed. She can't fight back, she's just adorable. So the other kids steal her food and call her names, and they even try to beat her up. So Hope decides, fuck that noise. This is my new best friend, and I will save her from this. So Hope takes her under her wing and gives her food and her hiding spots, and they become inseparable. They're just best friends. So the Mushroom War gets worse as they get older, and the orphanage shuts down because all the workers have to actually enter the war. Well, they're about 12 at this time, and they don't have anywhere to go. Most of the kids haven't been adopted, because people don't want to adopt kids whenever they're supposed to be leaving for a war. So Maya and Hope decide to stay in the orphanage and keep it as a hidden shelter. So Maya and Hope, they run the place. They're the leaders, they're the ones who are getting all the medicine and food. And during this stage, Maya and Hope slowly fall in love, but they don't tell the other because there's more important stuff to deal with right now. Well, one day, Hope and Maya are on a food run, and on their way back, a bomb drops and lands on the orphanage, killing everyone inside. Edgy. Bombs are falling everywhere now, and Hope and Maya run to find somewhere safe. During that, a bomb falls nearby, and Hope jumps in front of Maya and gets hit with the debris that knocks her out. Maya's freaking out and drags her into this random building. Inside, there's a door that looks like the opening to a panic room, which, lucky, I guess. Good luck. So she drags her in there and shuts the door. What she doesn't realize, though, is that she's in a restaurant and just entered the freezer, which does not have a handle inside. I guess that somehow cryogenically freezes them? I don't know, I was 14, cut me some slack. Well, in Adventure Time, Finn and Jake discover the restaurant, and Finn opens the door but gets distracted before he could look in. And I guess the door being open thaws out Hope, and she's perfectly fine. So she wakes up with no recollection of who she is, and she meets some of the other princesses, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm a princess. I don't have a kingdom or even a house for that matter, so I guess I'm a hobo. Whoa! Hobo Princess! So that's where the Ask vlog takes place, but I was planning on the Ask she'd get to slowly bring up flashbacks to who she was until she realizes, oh shit, Maya's here and in the freezer! Then she'd go back and check it to see that Maya's gone because she woke up too. And then she'd put on that edgy garb and go look for Maya. God, I was fucking extra. It did not take me that long to give up on Hobo Princess, and I decided to add a second half to my story, Sight. I mean, it wasn't named Sight until I added Bailey's Sight into the story. It was called Locket because of that stupid Locket cat wore. So in the story, the big prophecy between the characters means that somehow if they combine their powers, they'd be able to go to the future? Like, Nate's teleportation, plus Paige's time control, plus Riley's astral projecting, plus Kat reflecting all of them at the same time, could send them to the future so that they could get this big secret weapon to defeat the bad guys. Oh god. Also, the good guys were called days, and bad guys nights. And the weapon was written in the prophecy as created by two sons. Well, the story led you to believe that the secret weapon was this girl named Bianca, who was in a coma when they got there. But it was actually Bailey, who was the daughter of Kat and Paige. Alright, so all that I'm about to say happened in the time that they all skipped when they went to the future, but the Knights figured out that the prophecy was their child. So they kidnapped Bailey and waited for her powers to show, because they knew it would be something very powerful. Well, they get bored after 2 years of waiting for this kid to grow up, so they trigger her powers using electric shock. They find out that her powers are the ability to see ghosts and perfect memory, which is ironic considering Hobo Princess. And they get mad because they can't use her powers as offense, so they beat her and feed her scraps. God, edgy. So, they keep her though because she's still part of the prophecy and they might have some use of her. Well, when she's about 5 years old, she begs to be trained to be a knight, and they eventually agree. She learns faster than everybody else because of her memory, and then uses the training to break herself out. Like, if you train someone to, like, how to lockpick, and then you put them in a cage, they're gonna lockpick. They're idiots. So, when she escapes, she tries to live off the land, but gets caught and sent to an orphanage. The same deal with Hope happens with Bailey, except Bailey's also bullied because she talks to ghosts, creeps people out with her memory, and is straight up a trained assassin. And if a kid hits her, she does crazy shit like flips them over her head and steps on their face. Also, replace Maya with Bianca, that girl who gets in that coma. And you got Bailey's tragic backstory. I mean, the Mushroom War doesn't happen. Instead, a knight finds them alone one day and tries to get her back by taking Bianca and threatening to torture her until Bailey returns. Bailey goes to turn herself in when they send her Bianca's literal fucking arm in the mail. How do you get that through FedEx? I don't know. But, so Bailey turns herself in. They release Bianca, and after she knows Bianca's safe, she goes on a rampage and tries to murder as many knights as she can. She actually gets pretty far until she's stabbed in the chest and dies. But of course, I'm extra, and I have to keep this going. So, Bailey's dead, sent to Limbo, and they don't know whether to bring her to heaven or hell because she's both good and bad. She convinces them to let her become a guardian for Bianca. To do that though, she has to give a piece of her soul to Bianca. So she does that, and since she has her power in her soul, it also gives Bianca the ability to see ghosts, which is like perfect for this because she's technically a ghost. And also it means that Bailey's like hooked to her, and Bailey's ghost form ages since part of it's alive in Bianca. She goes back to Earth, and it's about a month later because time works different on Earth. And Bianca got adopted because she was in the newspaper for being missing and found without an arm. Bailey doesn't want to tell her that she died and is a ghost, so instead she tells Bianca that she broke out. So Bianca talks to her out in the open, not realizing that to everyone else she's talking to no one. After 2 years of this, Bianca's new parents sent her to a mental institution to try and fix the fact that she keeps talking to her dead friend. Bailey doesn't realize what she's done because she's still a kid and doesn't know what this place is or why they're constantly drugging up Bianca. but she's a ghost and she can't do anything to stop them. Well, no matter what they do, Bianca still talks to Bailey, even more now because she's freaked out being here and she can't do anything else because she's like strapped to this chair. Yeah, Bianca still talks to Bailey until they accidentally overdose her and she falls into a coma. Bailey's stuck because Bianca's not dead, so she has to stay next to her, but she's not alive, so she can't really do anything. But Bailey learns that since she's a spirit, she can train into becoming an angel. And part of being an angel is healing touch. So she goes and trains into doing that so that she can bring Bianca back to life. So she trains in that, and after about a decade, she's finally coronated as an angel. So she goes back to the hospital and sees that Bianca's gone, and she freaks out. So what happened was the main characters of the story got to her first, and Nate already healed her and brought her with them. So then Bailey tracks her down and joins the group on the rest of that story. But that's the story I abandoned, so you'll never know what happens next. Alright, so all that I'm about hire me, Broadway. Well, the story led you to believe that the secret weapon... Wait, I already said this part. What the fuck? Okay, so this is the version I'm at now, where instead of being part of this prophecy, they're just all like superheroes. I didn't actually work on Bailey's new design until this video, so you're just seeing right now the first concept of her superhero outfit. One of my favorite things about this new version of the story, which I never got into in the other video because I didn't even think about that yet, was their superhero outfits. They all are different and they all go for what they like most or what they think is best, so they don't really match. Like, ugh. Ugh. I didn't even eat anything. Why am I burping? Alright. Like, Nate and Paige grew up around anime, so they look anime. Gray's more into looking cool, so he got more of a Superboy 90s leather jacket look. Kat's more like Kim Possible, and so on. Bailey sees it more as being a witch, so her look goes with that. Now, this is my first concept, so there's a big chance that her final design will change from this, but this is what I got for now. So, for new Bailey, it starts off with Bianca already in the coma. There's no real tragic backstory like the last one, just a few little things though, like Bailey was raised to think that asking for help is a waste of time because no one would actually help her with stuff when she was younger. So she has to do things herself. Also, Bailey feels guilty for Bianca in the coma because she's the cause of it. It was something like they got in a wreck and Bailey was driving, or Bailey fed her something that she was severely allergic to without knowing, or something like that. Nonetheless, Bailey's incredibly guilty about it and works 3 jobs to have enough money to keep Bianca in the hospital because she's been in a coma for 2 years and usually they pull the plug. I should probably look up to see if that's something that actually happens. One day, after the meteor falls that gives everyone their powers, Bailey's leaving the hospital after a visit and it suddenly starts raining. There's this old man being pulled in a gurney and she and the man are drawn to each other. It's not weird. It's not that weird. It's not that kind of drawn to. So she sneaks back in and into his room and comforts him. He's very close to death, and he cups her hand and explains that he has these superpowers. Now, everyone in the story except Kat has 2 powers. One they can use de-transformed, and when they're transformed they can use that one and another one. For Kat, since her power is technically everyone's power, it's just stronger when she's transformed. Well, the man has the power to control the weather, and he never transformed, but he also has a super jump. Which is a good thing he never used, because he's really old. Bailey has the power to take the power of a dead super, and she can give someone a power. So she does that to the man. Now this power is intended as a way to let a legacy live on in honor, but she doesn't see it as that. She winds up hunting down other supers, intending to kill them and take their powers until she finds someone who has the ability to heal Bianca. The thought of asking for help doesn't even cross her mind, and the gang doesn't know exactly why she's battling them, so they can't help. For the old version of Sight, everyone's morals are either black or white, and Bailey was the only gray character, aside from the character named Gray. Jokes. I'm full of them. Jokes. Well, like, the villains were made horrible and villain-like, where they do bad things for no good reason, and you want them to lose and don't relate to them. They don't have any logical reason why they're being bad except they're the bad guys. For Bailey, though, she's just confused and doesn't understand what she's doing. She has one goal and thinks that her power is a calling to her, that this is what fate wants her to do. And she hates it. She hates fighting people, but she thinks that this is the only option. She kind of sees it as a form of torture and payback for what she's done to Bianca. But she's gonna eventually get a wake-up call and realize that what she's doing is wrong, and it isn't the only option, and she'll try to make up for it. So that's Bailey. She was my favorite OC for so long, and you can tell with how much I put into her story, but I love her. I'll always have her near and dear to my heart, and she's so important to me. Thanks for listening.